Welcome to my home. If you're new here, my name is Karen, and this is my Sunday afternoon. We actually had a pretty big snowstorm the day before and got almost a foot of snow, and there was no power at our church, so church was canceled. And so that gave me, honestly, an opportunity to catch up with myself just a little bit. And I decided I was going to paint out this door. Actually, I was going to paint door, trim. Like, I had so many plans for this day. I was thinking 8 hours of painting, and I always over plan. What I did end up doing was 2 coats of primer on this door. This is our half bath downstairs, and I just feel like the wood looks super out of place. So we had decided to paint it white to match the trim. So it will be the same color as the trim, which is a Behr color called Frost, and Behr paint is from Home Depot. So I'm just getting started. I always use paint tape and that sort of thing. I have my emotional support cat and we are ready to go and get this done. I got my paint clothes on. So this lock, should I just paint it off, tape it off, or should I take it out? Huh?
I guess we can take it off. We're going to do this screwdriver.
Yeah, can you get me a star one, Phillips?
Yeah. Good ones are.
Ow.
There's these two. Do you want help or you got it?
I got it. I wasn't going to take this off.
Okay.
You'll see later, I do end up taking the doorknob off. It was just a whole lot easier. What I'm doing now is I'm just taking the lock out, and then I'm going to clean the door so that I'm not painting over dust and dirt, you know, all that good stuff. It just always, this is what makes the job bigger. These are the things I don't ever think about, and then I'm going to fill in the holes and do all the things, but Leo's struggling. Leo, could you decide if you want to be in or out? Maybe. Would that be a thing? What is it about cats and closed doors? It's just like he comes in and then he wants to get out, and then he goes out and he wants to come in and he like pushes on the door. It's not like he's just out there meowing. If he was, that would be fine. I wouldn't even hear him because I have my AirPods in, because I'm listening to some YouTube videos to keep me motivated. So I'm choosing the people that I know are going to do some talking. I watched Michelle from My Everyday Wife Life go antiquing with her husband. I say watch, listen to Danny Rearranged do her next in the series of spring cleaning and learning mistakes, or doing confessions. She's doing a collab with Like a Leaf on a Tree, I think it's called. I have watched that channel a little bit too. And I feel like there was one more I watched. I know I listened to a decluttering video and I cannot remember the creator's name. Oh, Sophie from My Great Challenge. I also listened to that one. So it was a great time to get caught up on a lot of the YouTube channels that I enjoy. So I'm taping off this doorknob, but I am going to realize at some point that was dumb and I just need to remove the thing. Get rid of that. Hopefully that, you know, there's some damage, some dents. And then this is all where it all wore away. It's just old. So I'll keep, because we'll be screwing it back in again. I always use DAP because you can easily paint over it. One more thing I want to mention about YouTube creators that I watch is that D Lovely Life. D from D Lovely Life just put up another vlog. She has been on a break because her sweet mom passed away. So if you are a watcher of D, or even if you're not familiar with her, go on over. It's DEE Lovely Life. And she just put up a new vlog. It was either yesterday or the day before. There's the primer I'm going to use, and now I'm getting my paintbrushes out of the refrigerator, which is where I keep them. Then they stay wet and I don't have to keep cleaning or buying new paintbrushes. And Leo was playing with the plastic that I had put down on the floor, and now it's a little blurry because of the way I had to zoom in, but he is so hyper from it. He just can't even contain himself. So I'm stirring up my primer just because I feel like I should, even though I don't feel like it did anything. It seemed like it hadn't separated at all. I don't know a ton of things about paint, and people are knocking on the door. Now I'm suddenly painting on this channel, and I have not painted in years. And when I say years, I mean like 18 years. And I was always painting. I was always the one to paint the walls. And then 18 years ago, I herniated 2 discs in my back, and that was the end of my painting. But since I've been on this health journey, I'm able to paint more again. I just had to be careful. And when my body says done, I'm done. I tend to get in the zone, and I kind of don't feel pain when I am really not focusing on it. So I have to be careful. So on my channel, I remember Ava, my youngest, painting the entire living room. The girls painted their own bedroom, the 3 younger girls. Rachel's done some painting. Everybody's done painting. And I haven't been able to paint. So it's so funny because I dapped the holes, and then I was going over it and pulling the dap right out of the holes. So I had to do it again. It just feels so good to be able to do these projects again. And it's a great trade off that I can't necessarily do an entire day of painting. But this time I did do an entire afternoon. I mean, this took a long time. In fact, I need to put up a time code for where I stop painting, because that way, if you get bored of this, you can just move on to the rest of the video, because there's so much more coming. I was fighting with the tape here of it. When I would close the door, the tape would lift, and I had taped, and I was trying not to bleed paint. But you know what? Paint bleeds anyway, even through the tape. I have never figured out. I've tried every kind of tape, and I've tried everything, and you do get some bleeding through the tape. So I did 2 coats of primer. So now I need to do the final coat, which you won't see in this video because I did not do it this day. And when I do the final coat, I am not even going to use paint tape because it was just a waste. I think I would do better just being careful, because the part I've taped off, I might end up painting that spot white anyway. So what is the point? A lot of times when I'm working, I do have to put something in my ears. It really does help me to focus, to be listening to something else. It also helps me not to get bored, because I can be a restless little soul. But I do overall, I love to work. I just love to see the change. I love my own before and after journey. This is why my favorite chore will always be vacuuming. Vacuuming has to be the easiest thing to do to see a quick change. There's dirt on the floor, you pass that vacuum over, and the dirt is gone. So super satisfying. But I also love these DIY projects, especially when they come out good. And I have to say, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I always see the errors. But I have noticed since hiring people to do things that just nobody's perfect. Of course, someone who is doing this all day, all the time, they're going to be better at it than I am. But honestly, if you look close enough, no matter how good somebody is, you can find mistakes. So you just have to be easy on yourself and think, okay, I'm going to make this look better than it did before. And if I do make a mistake, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to go in, I'm going to try again. I'm going to make it look the best it can possibly look. And I'm going to understand that for most people, they're not going to be looking that close, that they're going to see the things that you have messed up. When they walk into your house, they're not trying to see how nice your paint lines are. Now, there are times, like I was just at a friend's house and I said to her, man, your paint lines are good, because I was noticing the ceiling to the wall. And of course, I'm doing some things too. So that kind of makes me look for it. And boy, I was just appreciating the fact that she has a very steady hand that I just, I don't have. And that's okay. I'm doing my best. So I have my little station set up here on the washing machine. And I have found better is just glopping some paint in there with my brush rather than pouring. I tend to make less of a mess and I get so nervous pouring. And then whenever I pour, I end up with too much paint and then I'm trying to get the paint back in the bucket. Whereas this way, I'm just doing a little bit of paint at a time. And then whenever I do need to stop, I don't have a ton of paint in my little paint container. It just, I feel like I'm wasting less paint. I feel like I'm less likely to dump it all over the floor. Did I sand this door? No. Should I have? Oh, yeah, heck yeah. But I prefer to just put on more coats of primer. I really hate sanding. I can't be bothered. It's messy. I don't feel like I'm good at it. Speaking of not being perfect, here I am going around this doorknob and I realize this is dumb. I should just remove it. And then my husband was like, I thought you said you were going to remove it. And I was like, no, I was talking about the lock. And he was like, no, I thought you said the doorknob. But since I have it on video, I can prove that I actually said to him at the time, I'm not going to try to remove this. So I tried to remove the door handle and I didn't have it on video. Darn it. I don't know why I didn't have it on video. Maybe because I thought I would just quickly remove the screws and it would be over with. But no, that's not how it worked out. I ended up getting myself in a little bit of a mess and I needed my husband's help. And I was really trying not to disturb him because he had worked on the upstairs bathroom on Saturday and shoveling and making pizza crust, although the pizza crust was really to rest, but I digress. So I was trying not to bother him at all with any work around the house and just let him have his rest day because everybody needs a day of rest and he needed one too, but it was okay. He came in and he helped me with the doorknob. You could have given me instructions.
I could have, but you said you got it. That's what happens when you take things apart and you don't know how they work. You need to know how they work. This is why I enjoy seeing you do some of this, because then you realize the thing you think that takes me 10 minutes actually takes me 45 for a reason. Because there's dumb things like this. Right?
Yep.
You're missing the screw on the bottom there.
No, it's there. It was the screw on the top I took out.
Here. This one needs to come out.
Yeah, I know. How many 50-year-olds does it take?
No, it's not turning for some reason. Let's get this back in place. There we go. Alright, yeah. You should be able to turn that now.
I think I can put that window down a little bit. Ooh. Show off.
Yeah. That'll be my big reveal for the day.
Yeah. I included that because I know that some of you actually enjoy our banter. That's kind of how we are all of the time. It's how we always have been. Anyway, I was watching a little video this morning and I wanted to mention it to you. And what it was saying, this has nothing to do with painting, is that if you drink caffeine first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, it increases anxiety. And they had these like hormonal chemical reasons that I cannot remember, but I just thought I would mention it to you. It was saying to wait 1 to 2 hours after you get up before you drink your first cup of coffee. So I'm assuming, even though they didn't say it in the video, that means you should have your breakfast and then an hour or two later, drink your caffeine. So have you ever heard that before? It was actually Mel Robbins that was saying it. So I think I might try that tomorrow because I take medication now for anxiety, but I'm on a super low dose, like 10 milligrams, I think. And I've been noticing, I call it breakthrough anxiety because, you know, I can't expect medication to completely take away anxiety and not take away every other emotion I have, right? So you don't want to be on too much. You have to learn, I have to learn, not you. I have to learn to manage a lot of my anxiety anyway. And I think as we get older, I just think you naturally become more anxious or anxious feeling. And it almost feels like physical because it comes on me and I'm not even actually thinking of anything stressful. I might not be thinking of anything at all. So I think I might try just getting up. Usually I like to have coffee first and I don't want to eat in the first hour. Uh, Even though my health plan says to eat within 30 minutes of waking up. So I think I'll go back to paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing. I'll eat within 30 minutes of getting up, and then an hour after that, perhaps, I will have my first cup of coffee. And I do try to stick to one cup, but I have to be honest with you that my cup is really big. So on my Keurig, I'll do a large cup and then a small cup. And, I'll use the same pod, but I'll lift the lid and put it back down again and then hit small. So I'm not getting more coffee than is what is in one pod, but I am kind of doing it once and a half. So I don't know if that counts as one cup or two if you're still using the same K cup. You can see these things that just take up way too much of my mental energy and space. This is what happens when I'm painting. I just have way too much time to think on my hands, which is why I have to listen to something while I paint, but I am enjoying the time alone.
Take breaks.
I always have to mention a break at some point in the video, or at least I try to remember to, because I do take breaks always, and I don't always show them, even though I try to remember to show them. And one of you had said that one of the reasons you like my channel is because I take breaks, and so then you don't feel so bad. Would any of you work for a boss that didn't give you a break? I know in the state of Maine, it is a law that when you work a certain number of hours, you have to give employees a break, and how long that break is determined by how many hours they are working. And if you worked for someone who wouldn't give you a break, you could report them to the labor board. So, no matter who you are, even in the world where you're getting paid an hourly wage or salary to do that work, it is expected that you would take breaks. But isn't it funny that at home, we feel guilty for taking breaks? So be a good boss. Be somebody you would actually work for in the world and give yourself breaks. And if you take breaks frequently, I believe that you will get more done in the end than if you didn't take a break and you were fighting your body. Not to mention the fact that you would have some energy tomorrow unless you have a physical issue, that you would actually be able to do work again tomorrow. All right, I wanted to tell you a problem I did have. You just saw me painting the bottom of the door. Because of that plastic on the door, if I opened the door before the paint was dry, it was taking off paint. This happened to me like 3 times before I realized I needed to smooth the plastic on the floor before I opened the door and make sure the plastic wasn't like bunching up on the door. Now I'm doing the little spots of trim that you're going to see that I didn't think I needed to do in the upstairs bathroom. I have since seen the error of my ways, and now that paint tape, I was like, all right, you're coming off because this is just stupid. All the things that you go through when you're painting. When I got to the top, I realized that my first coat was already dry. So I thought, I'm going in with the second coat. Also, I noticed that the trim, later on I noticed I had gotten some of the primer on the trim. Oh, that reminds me of a story I need to tell you. And then I'll probably skip to the next part of the video. I don't feel like you need to see me put the whole second coat on. If you disagree and you just like to watch and you find it motivating and relaxing, please let me know in the comments and I won't skip over the next time. Okay, so I had gone into Sherwin-Williams to get this Bear Frost color matched. And I only wanted a small can, which I have since realized I did it all wrong, let's just say. But anyways, I went into Sherwin-Williams to get a small can of the Frost because usually they'll paint match. And I had like the picture with the number, and they said, this is so close to pure white that we can't do it in a small can. It would have to be in at least a gallon. And I didn't want a gallon at that point. So I decided to wait, and silly me, I went to Lowe's, which one of you were like, Bear is Home Depot, right? I went to Lowe's and did it. So, but the funny thing was, so the guy said, this is so close to pure white that it doesn't really make a difference. But I wasn't going to buy pure white. I wanted frost. Well, as I was painting this, I realized it shows in the camera, but I want you to know it shows in real life too. So what I'm painting on the door right now is pure white because it's primer. What is on the trim work around the door is frost. Okay, does anybody else notice it is exactly the same? Because he was like, it was like a higher number than 1/100th. It was like 1 over 138 or something was the amount of colorant in it. Like that's a fraction, 1 over like 138. So he was like, this is so super duper close to pure white. And it's so funny because I was like, wow, I left there kind of dissatisfied. That particular guy has waited on me a lot. I find him to be very knowledgeable. I ask him for advice all the time. And so I kind of felt like, oh, well, we finally had a moment where he missed the boat. No, he didn't. And I'm going to go back in and tell him. Not that I told him that I thought he was wrong, but I'm going to be like, I have a funny story for you. And I'm going to tell him this story that as I'm putting on this ultra white primer, I'm realizing it looks exactly like frost. So I could be using pure white and it would not make one iota of difference. So it's so funny because then I went into Lowe's, and I wanted bare paint, but hey, I was in Lowe's, not Home Depot. And I was mentioning to her that I went to Sherwin-Williams. Well, then when I got home, I realized she had given me Sherwin-Williams paint. And I only buy Sherwin-Williams paint at Sherwin-Williams. It ended up fine. The paint is fine. One time I had a bad experience with some Sherwin-Williams I had bought at Lowe's, and somebody told me don't ever buy it at Lowe's. I think it was the Sherwin-Williams guy, actually. So anyway, that's my very long story to tell you that even though it is called frost, and I will forever call it frost when I put on the final coat, it's pure white.
Yeah, why?
I don't understand what you're doing.
I'm painting the door. I didn't sand it,
Oh, I feel like you're like letting it dry and you're sitting in there.
No, I went right in with a second coat because it dried actually really fast.
Okay.
I'm almost done with the second coat, and then I'm going to take a break because I'm emotionally done.
Okay.
Oh, my butt hurts. Ugh. Looking like a dog. That's what I'm doing.
Back when I injured my knee, when what did I do? I obliterated and I no longer have an ACL. I tore my MCL and my meniscus and didn't have surgery, just went to physical therapy and also lost. That started my weight loss journey. I also, every time I fell, because I fell once in the airport, which was the original injury, but I crashed on ceramic tile on my tailbone. And then when I was at my son's house, who does have ceramic tile as well, and I fell getting in the shower, which you had to step up to the shower. That was when I fell, grabbed the toilet on my way down to try to cushion the fall and cracked a rib on the toilet. And then I crashed again on that tailbone. My tailbone has never been the same. And then when you lose weight, someone had told me that when you are very heavy, which I was, you sit differently. And so then, you can have some pain when you lose the weight because I don't know, are you more sitting on your tailbone? So I don't know which it is. I kind of tend to think it's just from that injury. They didn't even x-ray it. So I don't know if I broke my tailbone or if I cracked it or did anything because I asked them at the time, I was in so much pain. And they were going to x-ray it. And I said, what are you going to do if you x-ray it? And they said, well, really nothing. You'll just know. And I was like, okay, let's just skip it because we were doing the knee and all that stuff. My ribs, no, actually we didn't do the rib either because they don't do anything for the rib, but they could tell by the bruising and touching and all the painful things they did to me that I had indeed cracked a rib. So it's just a thing, as you grow older, you stack up these injuries and you don't have the same body again. Okay, so we're going to finish this up real quick and then we're going to move on to more fun. I wanted to show you the only way to open the door and not have the plastic ruin my paint job was to pull the plastic from under the door. And I think the next time I paint, I have enough room, enough of a gap at the bottom. I'm not even going to put down any plastic, I don't think. It just wasn't worth it. Or maybe I'll paint the bottom first without plastic, let it dry, and then go on from there.
Leo is very invested in my schedule today. I got my touch-up pens for my kitchen cabinets, and I special ordered these from Lowe's because Lowe's is where I got my cabinets that have the thinnest lacquer on the planet. I mean, I just realized when I was deep cleaning my downstairs bathroom, which is where my laundry is, which is where my laundry cabinet is, that cabinet is older, not a mark on it. The kitchen cabinet's paint's falling off left and right. So I can't remember if I would have actually gotten paint, because it's a lacquer. So Sherwin-Williams said it's better just to paint the whole cabinet. I'm not painting the whole cabinet. I just got these cabinets 3 years ago. I'm going to try this touch-up pen that I special ordered from Lowe's, and it says, and these were still overpriced, but it was so much cheaper than buying the little bit of paint. It came with a touch-up, like this big of touch-up paint, which I lost. And I'm so frustrated with myself that I lost it because you can't just get a new one. So shake well. I'm not going by the directions. What does it say? But we're going to do this. It's going to be great. So I thought I'll order the pens. It was cheaper. I got 2 pens, cheaper than the paint, but still very expensive. But it is in the linen color. So hopefully, and I think they bought it from the company that makes the cabinets. At least I hope. Shake well before using. Relieve pressure by depressing the nib in upright position. To start flow, press pen and nib down until wet. Okay, so we're going to shake it up. I'm very excited, actually. You know, all these little changes, these little things add up. So I'm so glad that somehow I got the idea to touch up paint in such room by room as I spring clean. Now, it's going to take me forever to spring clean, but spring just started. It's March 25th, my time today. And so I have until, what, June 21st or something, until spring is technically over. Depressing the nib until, oh yeah, okay, I can start to see, I don't know if you can see, I can start to see paint coming on down. So it said to depress it until wet. So if you're really looking close, you can see it turn white. Okay. Ooh, look. Okay, I did it. So now we're going to go try it on the cabinets and see. I've used a pen before, but I think I'm going to buy like some kind of finishing wax or something like when you redo cabinets. So I want to put something over it this time. Last time I just used a white pen. This time it's supposed to be the same color as the cabinets. Yeah, you're fine. It doesn't say to let it dry or to how many coats or anything. So look, because you can see that you can see the wood right through. So I'll definitely be doing more than one coat here. I guess I'll let it dry, I don't know, till it's dry to the touch. But this is where the water comes down. This is the one that I really think needs to be sealed because it's just going to happen again because water's going to keep coming down because these don't really close flush.
Yep, I can see.
This is no miracle. This is exactly like the pen I bought off the shelves, which is what they told me to buy. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want it to be linen. So maybe it does match better and I just don't realize it. I would think this would dry quick because it's sinking right in the wood, I'm sure.
Okay.
Either way, it's going to look better than it did before. That could be a good goal. Look better than it did before. I also just noticed this, likely from the coffee pot, so I'm going to get that cleaned up. Here's what I learned.
learn to put my hair up. No. When you're pushing down, like if you keep the tip down, that's when the paint's coming out, okay? So I was like, but I'm kind of using all the same paint that came down. So keep pushing it down, especially if you're in a place that's like a little bit more removed, like under my sink. And it definitely works better in tiny places. So I would say if you're gonna use that as an option to fix up your cabinets, sooner is better than later. Because if you can be doing when it's just little spots, it does seem to look better. I'm definitely going to keep going in with more coats on that big huge spot under the sink cabinet and see how it does. And the advice I had gotten from Lowe's was it's a lacquer, don't try to paint it, it won't look good. But that spot is more like when you open the doors. So I'm kind of thinking I might paint it just that spot. So I don't know. I'll stay tuned. I want to do something more fun, so I think it's time to change out that curtain now. I just need to iron it. Oh, do you ever, I'm old school, like I'm older, so it's not that I've never put up a curtain that's still wrinkled. I have, hoping, oh, maybe the wrinkles will come out. But when I see somebody get a brand new gorgeous curtain and they put it up and you can see the lines, I'm like, oof. I don't know, like how long does it take that to come out on its own? I prefer to iron and see the lines come out. What do? Do you just hang them or do you iron it? The instructions for this say, warm machine wash, do not bleach, do not tumble dry, low ironing, do not dry clean. So low ironing, I put it on delicate synthetics, which if I would have seen that, I would not have bothered to put all the water in it, because then I would have known, oh, you're not using steam, silly. So hopefully this will be able to get out the fold wrinkles. Not doing the greatest job, so I'm going to turn it up just a little to wool silk. You can always tell because what will happen is, and I have this flipped upside down just in case, but it'll feel kind of tacky on the iron, kind of sticky almost, and then you know, oops, it can't handle. It wants to melt. You don't want to melt your, this is such a little baby curtain. So people call YouTubers influencers, right? Because we show you products and then you're like, ooh, that might work for my house. But you guys influenced me because this was the idea that came through the comment section, was that my curtain was hiding the outdoor scenery. And sometimes it's not that I don't notice that my yard is beautiful, or, you know, sometimes you just see the problems, the things you'd like to correct, or, oh, I'd like to see more flowers, and you can miss the beauty of the trees. And also, at first when somebody was saying, you know, it looks so beautiful out the window, why would you hide that? But the other thing is, now that spring is here, spring and summer, which does make my house hot, but I think it's well worth it. I have air conditioners. But anyway, the kitchen window is south facing, and so we get a lot of sun in there, because when we had to replace our, turning it up a little more, now we're on linen. When we had to replace our septic system, they cut down a bunch of trees because they had to move it because the one we had was no longer to code. So now I get tons of sun in there, in that window. Oh, it's doing fine with the higher heat, which is good because the folds weren't coming out at all. Oh yeah, there we go. This is nice. My mother would have starched it and everything else. She ironed everything. If she used to get upset if I wouldn't iron my t-shirts. My dad would iron his jeans. Actually, who am I kidding? She ironed my dad's jeans, and she would put the pleat down the leg. Okay, that's ironed. So now, woo, we can go take the old curtain down, which I'm kind of thinking about putting in the bathroom because I can put it right at the ceiling, the half bath. think? It's too short. Like
Well, it's like weirdly
small. What I need is
like you can't bunch it up.
not at all. My hand's not wide enough.
It's not voluminous enough.
I feel like I wouldn't mind it if I put some sort of a decoration on either side.
Yeah, I think that would work.
So I might work on getting
Okay,
a
so
flower for either
we
side.
are pretty much
Yeah.
at 10.
Like if I got this flower and put it here and there.
Yeah, like if you went to Michael's and got some like artificial vining.
Yeah, if I vined all the way.
Yeah,
Even.
and then you could put the fairy
Yeah.
lights in with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm finally filling the holes, which I've been procrastinating. And then when I said on one of my videos, let me know what you want to see me do, somebody said, I want to see you fill the holes. So I was like, okay, that's my signal. It's time to stop procrastinating and do it. So as soon as I get these holes filled, we are going to Michael's to get a swag, a floral swag, to put over that curtain, because the curtain definitely isn't wide enough, but actually I kind of like it ungathered. It has kind of a neat look, but I don't like how you can see the rods on either side. I feel like, and I was talking to my daughter, and she was saying too, like if we had the swag and mixed it with fairy lights, that would be so cute. Why did I procrastinate this? There's hardly anything that needs to be done. I like to do it with my finger. This I'm going to have help getting out, I think, from my husband. This anchor. I'm just going to let him do it, and then I'll cover that hole. So, and I think I'm going to need to sand these down a bit, too. I'll probably get my husband's advice on that. Why did I procrastinate this? I'm so silly. That's crazy. All right, that was easy. All right, I'm gonna eat. I made some soup in the microwave. My favorite chicken noodle soup. So I'm gonna eat that. That way I won't be tempted to go out and get food, because that would be bad. Financially as well as health. All right. Okay, that was like 2 minutes that I have. I feel like I must be missing something. There must be more that needs to be done. I don't know. Obviously, I need a final coat on the door. But I'm going to let my priority be different today. Plus, my back's a little sore from painting.
I'm at Michael's. So I was like, you know what? I can just go out there because that curtain is too narrow. But my daughter and I were talking. We're like, we could put a swag of flowers across with the fairy lights, and that would look really good. So, of course, I'm about ready to go get in the car, and I find out, well, our daughter, Ava, got a new job, and she texted my husband. She's at public school, and said she needed to bring her paperwork over. Someone will give her a ride over there, but we got to pick her up at 2:30. So it is 12:54. It took me like 45 minutes to get here because there were electricity crews. I forget that out here they had lost power. So I'm going to go a different route home and hopefully not run into the same thing, because I was like, oh, I've got time, but it'll be a quick trip. I don't need to spend forever doing this. I don't know where to put my eyeballs. Is my camera there? Is my camera there? Either way, it's going to be a quick trip. I'm going to see if they have those birds that I've been wanting for my upstairs bathroom, and I need a flower swag for over the kitchen. I'm just having so much fun, you guys. Happy spring. I wanted to show you some of the bird stuff that they have. This is a bird in flight, so that one would hang. And then they do have these bird pictures, but I have some bird pictures that I had gotten from Hobby Lobby a couple years ago. And then I thought this was cute. It was heavier than I expected, but it was still cute. I am considering that. There's another bird picture. and more here, but they didn't have what I thought they would have. And then I had to take a quick stop and just check the prices. $24.99 for one basket. That's the same size I already bought for either $10 or $12.99. But I did kind of like this crab. I'm going to think about that and consider if I have extra space in the upstairs bathroom. I'm going to look online and see if they have a better selection of birds there, because I was kind of shocked they didn't have very much. So it's one of those things where if you don't get it right when it comes out, you miss out. So I'll see if they have more online, and then I'll show you what I did get when I get home. Let's just, as a hint, I'm going to need my glue gun.
One of these days, I'm going to stop wearing this sweatshirt and all the other sweatshirts. I'm starting to feel it. I got, okay, back from Michael's. So funny because I was showing you what I was seeing, and then I don't know if I got discouraged by the birds, but I was really having a hard time thinking through the flowers. But this is a 6-foot swag. Is it called a swag? But this is the little, has like little chain. It's Ashland Spring. These currently are 50% off. So it was regularly priced $16.99, and so I paid obviously $8.50. And then I wanted a little bit of blue in there, so I got this. I'm going to use my glue gun and put some little pieces, you know, sprinkle them. I'm hoping this isn't too thick because that is a really thin curtain. And this was full price, $9.99. But right now, and it is March 25th, because this was not Ashland, so it didn't count as a spring. Whoops, sorry. It is Ashland, but it didn't count as a spring floral. So it was $9.99 and it was full price, but there's a coupon, 50% off of one regularly priced item. So I got to use it for this. So that was only $5. That was nice. And then also 50% off is all their Easter stuff, where Easter is this weekend. So this was $19.99, but I got it for $10. I would have never paid $19.99. I just thought it was cute. It was kind of like a little guilty pleasure. I don't want to say the word obsessed, but I am kind of obsessed with birds right now. Oh, it is glued to this piece of paper. Do you find that strange? But I think I'm going to put it on the shelf in my living room. Since the shelf is white, it kind of makes sense. They're so cute though, cute and pastel-y. Okay, so I want to get to that curtain now. I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna take you out. We'll go to dinner and a movie now. Let's go to the kitchen and kind of see how things lie.
My issue is I don't want to see the curtain rod on either side. So that was what really started the whole conversation. I do actually like it that the curtain is flat like that. So I'm trying the swag up here first before I start hot gluing and all that, because I just want to make sure it's not too thick for this curtain. And so the first time I put it on, I did realize like I can't have it like draped down too much, or it really does cover all of the curtain, which covers all of the flowers that I was trying to match. But I was at least impressed with how completely springy it looked. It was so funny because I was talking to my husband about it. Is it hanging too low? And he's like, well, it's not going to be there forever. So what does it really matter? And I thought, okay, that's a very odd response. It's going to be there for a while. And then I was like, is it too feminine? He's like, are you saying men don't like flowers? So yeah. So I'm cutting up the blue one, and I started with scissors and quickly realized I needed to use wire cutters, and I'm just kind of figuring out where I'm going to place them. I do love me some symmetry. These are the types of things that motivate me to get my glue gun out, because when I was in Michael's, I was like, should I do pink or should I do blue? And I really couldn't decide. And then I was like, okay, I like the pink, but I feel like it needs a touch of the blue. Now you can see I have to keep going back and trying with the how far it droops down. I must have adjusted this thing 10 to 15 times. Not even going to lie. You won't see every single time because we don't have time to watch me change something 10 times. But you can see right now it's hanging too low, so it covers all the flowers on the curtain. Also, I was going to share with you how I brace the middle. There's really nothing to attach it to in the middle. Later, my daughter was like, why don't you get a big safety pin? And I was like, okay, that was a great idea. So if this doesn't stay, okay, this was way too low. You can't really tell on this shot, but it literally covers every single flower. So then I knew I needed to bring it up more. But that was a good idea she had with the safety pin that would have worked. The middle, I took the bottom stick part of the floral, the blue floral arrangement, and I put the floral swag over it, and then it went over the curtain rod, but under the frame of the window. So nothing is technically holding it there except for tension and gravity. If it falls, then I'll pin this up with a nice big safety pin. But for now, it's working. And then on either end, I wired it to the curtain rod. The second problem I had, speaking of gravity, was it pulling toward the middle. So even though I had it wired to the curtain rod, it wasn't as tight as I could. I mean, there was a limit to how tight I could make it because the wire is slipping on the metal rod and it's pulling the curtain and the swag in. So then it still wasn't covering the spot I wanted to cover. So then I took a blue flower on each side because I had leftover, and I wired the blue flower directly to the curtain rod. So I knew the flowers would cover. See, you can see in that shot right there, you can see the curtain rod. So even though I like how high this is now, I had to wire blue flowers to that little corner right there, what I'm showing. And once I did that, then I was happy with it. So I am just staring at it whenever I go in the kitchen. Everybody in the family had to look at it and tell me how much they loved it, how nice it looked. It really did motivate me though. So what I did was I took 2 pieces of the blue flowers, glued them together so it would be full enough. And then I went back up there and I have floral wire and I wired it straight on the curtain rod, not on the swag. That way, if the swag pulls in, then it's not pulling that blue flower. Also, before I close, because this is our last project for today, I did just want to shout out I have really been enjoying watching Marina and what is she? Fearfully Created, and watching Kimmy Cope. They both have mobile homes. One's in a double wide, one is a single wide. The reason I've really enjoyed watching their channels lately is they have really been encouraging me without knowing it to try things in my home and to just do things that bring me joy and make me happy, even if maybe somebody else wouldn't love it. And that is what is motivating me to do my pantry redo with decals. So shout out to them. I really appreciate it. And shout out to my little birdies that bring me joy. Remember, as always, friends, that God loves you and I love you too. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We'll be back in the basement doing a declutter.